Yo, 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 what is going on, everybody? Gabriel Santos here. And this video is meant for those of you who are trying to get rid of marijuana completely out of your life, and to give you some perspective. All right. This can be one of the most challenging things that you're ever going to do. And if you find yourself having moments of difficulty, or giving into a joint, right? Like, let's say you went 2 weeks without smoking, then you give into a joint. Um, it is critical in this journey that you have a lot of patience and a lot of understanding with what you're up against, right? Now, this isn't to overcomplicate or make, quitting marijuana this big monster. But the point is to remind you that this isn't necessarily easy. And in fact, for many of us, it is not easy at all. And so it is within expectation that, if you decided to quit, that at some point you break and give in. But in addition to developing the muscle of saying no and developing coping skills to deal with life without marijuana, another part of the journey that's important to develop is creating a new reaction to when you give in to marijuana, whether on purpose or an accident. And what I mean by this is, typically, and I went through this myself, when we want to quit, and let's say we go 2 weeks or 2 months or even maybe a year, half a year, we are weed free for a long time, longer than we ever have before, and then we give in. And the classic reaction is like, oh no, very normal. Oh no, what did I do? I relapse. What's wrong with me? Why did I do that? A lot of regret, guilt, shame, which is tied to some type of story of I fucked up. Everything is now, all of my progress is wasted. Some story of like unforgivable, you know just I fucked up and things are over. That's a very classic reaction. And depending on how that goes for you, typically for people, that oh no, I relapsed, I fucked up, there goes everything mentality leads to more smoking, leads to leads to a halt of their progress and the mindset and the behaviors that lead to more progress, right? It's a very classic situation of just, how do I deal with failure? How do I have, what's the type of mindset that will allow me to process what just happened in a productive way and move forward in an effective and productive way and move forward, right? And so over time, I began to realize that freaking out and bashing myself for smoking weed and giving in was not working for me and not empowering me. It was making me smoke more, which is the opposite of what we're trying to do here. And so eventually, over some time, I got to the point for myself, and this is something for you to note down, where I don't freak out when I would give in. And in fact, I don't even call it a relapse. This is something I tell many of my clients. If you choose to quit, or you choose to commit, like, I'm not going to smoke this weekend, and you end up smoking, I don't call it a relapse. I call that choosing to smoke. And the point here is to remove the mystery and to take ownership of the decision. Like, there was a decision to be made, right? Should I smoke today or should I not? And sometimes the cravings, the habits, the stress of life, the pressure to enjoy the moment with friends, it can get to us. Like, that is a common aspect of what you're going to face in this journey. And so it is obviously you want to do your best to stay committed in those difficult moments. Like that's where a lot of the work happens. But like I've said, a critical part of this journey is to develop a new reaction to when you fail yourself or fail the journey or make choices that are outside of the commitment. And so for me, I wouldn't even call it relapse. I call it, okay, I'm choosing to break my commitment. I'm choosing to break my commitment. And although that's not the game we're trying to play, can you sense the difference in ownership and at the very least less guilt and less confusion? At the very least, I'm going to be square in the face with myself in the mirror and say, I'm choosing to break the commitment, which is something we don't want to say, but is something we inevitably do when we decide to smoke in those moments. And so I found for myself, it's better to be honest and square than to play pure victim. You know what I'm saying? Um, in addition to that, I think maybe up front just to acknowledge that, man, there are gonna be moments when it's really hard, and you may or may not break commitments along the way, but like, man, like there are moments where the temptation and the desire and the psychological forces at play will be strong. Let's just call a spade a spade. They will be strong. Those forces will be strong. And so um but the whole intention of this video is to remind you that the challenges are real and they will have their difficulties, and two, to be aware of and create a new reaction to when you give in, such that you don't go from here to here, right? Like, oh, I'm making progress, I'm growing, I'm doing well, to, oh no, I fucked up, what the fuck's wrong with me? I'm stressed now, I'm sad, I'm angry, might as well just smoke more. That's such a classic one. I already blew it, might as well just blow the entire lid off and just smoke my whole face off until I don't remember anything, until it's 3 months later and I hate myself again. Like, there's no need for that. There's no need for that. And so additionally, part of this game is how can I be more efficient and effective from breaking the commitment to getting back on the commitment? How can I shorten that? How can I shorten that time? Because typically what happens for people is they, on their commitment, break the commitment, stay off the commitment for X weeks, months, even years. And then they finally get to a point where they're crawling back, right? They've dealt with, right? So a lot of this is like learning how to deal with guilt, learning how to deal with shame, learning how to deal with failure, which are things that you'll experience across the board in life, not just with marijuana. But this is what I found for myself and a number of people in this area, is that we like, it's so ironic that our journey with marijuana becomes this vehicle to develop as a person in general, right? Dealing with shame, dealing with victim, dealing with regret, dealing with anger, dealing with sadness. And so, as I was saying, the goal for you is to figure out what you need to do for yourself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and action wise, that decrease the time it takes you to go from breaking the commitment to recommitting. And like I said, most people, they have some type of unconscious strategy that is ultimately ineffective or inefficient. It's effective but inefficient. It's inefficient in the sense that it takes way too long. It's effective in the sense that they'll get back to it eventually, but who knows when and who knows how long, right? And so what I found for myself is that when I would break a commitment, I would do my best to be square about breaking it, honest and square about, okay, I'm breaking my commitment. And this is just what worked for me, to let myself continue breaking the commitment until I'm ready to recommit. And it's weird, right? And in hindsight, this video's coming along. In hindsight, what was happening was I was depressed, I was sad, I was bored, I lacked purpose, and I didn't know what to do with myself. And you know what? I'd rather just smoke some weed and lose myself in that, because I don't, either I'm not willing to figure it out another more productive way, or I don't want to. And I had to start to get square with myself in that regard, like being square of like, I don't want to. Right. And again, this sounds counterproductive and counterintuitive, like, wait, the way to commit. So I guess really this video is about, dealing with when in those moments when you want to break your commitments and life is hard, and how to just kind of go through that in an isolated space and then move on quickly. And so hopefully, again, the idea is, instead of taking 2 months, 3 months, you take a month to go through your rut, to go through your darkness. Um, and ideally, you recognize that maybe adding marijuana to this depression cocktail probably doesn't make things better. It ultimately makes things worse. And so, based on what's best for you, you know yourself, you know what you need and don't need. In those moments, just like, look, if you're gonna break the commitment, then break it. Like, just get square with it, and then go what you need to go through, and then move on. Right? Because this is not just about how do I stay off marijuana. That's a part of it, but really what this is about is, how can I just have a better life? How can I have a better mental health, mental state? How can I just navigate myself and my world better and more effectively and efficiently, with less guilt, less shame, more sense of ownership, more responsibility, more sense of control, at least, less victimhood. Um, because this video was inspired by some of the things I'll read on Reddit, where, and this has been popping up a lot recently, where it's like, went 90 days weed free, down the drain, smoked last night, what did I do, oh my god, fucking fuck. And I get that sense of anger and frustration and disappointment. I really do. um but what I'm trying to do here for all of us, and is to really, like, be less, like, to have some perspective. Like, dude, you just went 90 days. I know it's upsetting, because it's like, we at that point, it's like, I I'm so done fucking being a slave to marijuana and this addiction. And when we say, like, we're done, we really want to feel like we mean it, right? Because typically at that point, it's like, we've broken promise after promise to move on, and it's like, man, I can't afford to break any more fucking promises. And so to go 90 days and to break that promise can be pretty devastating in that moment, right? But again, this journey with weed, it offers this opportunity to develop a sense of emotional mastery, right? Mindset mastery, and mastery of self in general. And so, again, do your best to stick to your commitments. Know that there are going to be challenges along the way, where psychological forces, old habits, they're going to your mind, right? It's going to tell you, like, it's going to play tricks on you, and it's going to tempt you to break your commitment when you actually don't want to. And so in other videos, we'll talk about how to get through those tough moments and stay committed, right? But if you're someone who has already broken the commitment, do yourself a favor and take a look at what your inner monologue is about it. What's that story? What's your mind saying? I fucked up. What the hell? I blew it. There goes everything. Right? Something like that. And I get it. You probably need to find a way to, like, process and deal with this anger and frustration. And what's not going to help is smoking more weed, right? Because probably what you need to learn how to do is not numb, or just rather how to effectively process guilt, shame, regret, sadness, and failure. And my guess is that continuing to smoke more weed and numb yourself to that degree is probably not that effective. You might need to do it for a day or two, maybe a week, if we're being honest, maybe. right? But at some point you got to learn to develop a more effective and efficient way to deal with guilt and shame. And so that's for you to discover. We'll talk about that in another video. But hopefully this made sense. Hopefully this connected and clarified some things for you. If you have some comments or questions, please leave them down below. And hopefully, again, this video finds you well. And if you're someone who wants additional support, more detailed support on how to just discover and figure out all these little things for yourself in a more specified way, feel free to reach out to me at my email or Instagram. I'll leave them in the description below. If you're driving, my email is g.santos28@gmail.com. My Instagram is Gabe, Gabe _Santos. Gabe _Santos. Again, I'll leave those links in the description down below. I'm interested in working with you. I'm interested in, seeing if we can do some work together that will allow you to move forward and make the changes you're looking for. It is a paid service, so know that up front. But if you're interested, at the very least, please reach out to me. We'll see what we can do. And that's it. So again, hopefully everyone is doing well. Hopefully this video was awesome for you, and I hope that you can be more empowered moving forward. Anyways, that's it. Love you all. Appreciate you all. Appreciate your viewership and time. See you in the next video. Peace.